Welcome into the 9th episode of the Market Like a Millennial podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Itnyre, and we are officially back from Vegas, baby. We had a blast at the International Roofing Expo, met a lot of new people, had a ton of fun, stayed out of trouble, which is the most important part about Vegas, and got to reconnect with some old friends. And it was an absolute blast. Definitely accomplished some milestones, got to do some things on my bucket list. Got to meet Dmitry Lipinski with Roofing Insights and got to do an interview with him. And the experience I had with him actually inspired the podcast for today, because we actually met the night before at the Trump International Hotel where I was staying. And I was headed out to the SRS distribution concert that they put on. And as I'm coming out, Dmitry is walking to the bathroom. And so I saw him. I was like, hey, man, huge fan. You know, you inspired me over the years and just what you do for the industry each and every day. And he actually invited me over to have dinner with him, right? He's like, hey, man, well, if you're not going anywhere, if you want to talk, have a good time, we are eating dinner right over there and we're just hanging out. And I thought to myself immediately, I said, man, the character of this guy, to set that standard right when we first meet, right? Offered me to come over and just talk with him, his team, and whoever else was over there. That shows a lot of emotional awareness on his part. And just to be able to make that opportunity and that offer to someone that you have met, you found out that they are inspired by you. It just takes a high level of thinking to do that. And so that actually inspired the podcast for today. We ended up meeting up the next day. I had to go to that SRS concert with some buddies, had a great night out in Vegas. And then the next day, we actually did the interview and talked about the new direction he's going with Roofing Insights 3.0. And most importantly, the new felt that he's bringing to the market, along with a bunch of other products that he's working on with BEM, which is a manufacturer that's actually bringing that direct to contractors across the country. They said that they're dealing with everyone from small contractors to contractors up that are doing up to $40 million a year and actually buy direct rather than having to go through a supply house, a shingle manufacturer, all these different things that add cost to the end consumer, which is your customers, and it adds cost to you as a contractor and takes out of your profit. So I think it's a great opportunity. You can actually find that interview on TikTok. It's about 5 to 10 minutes long, a lot of great information. You actually get to meet the manufacturer, the person that puts all this into place for Dmitry, and hear about how that story came about. So make sure to check that out. But on to the podcast for today, when we talk about the most important part about what we do as roofing sales representatives, whether you're building a personal brand or even your company's brand, it's being able to connect with people and create rapport, right? That's something that's not talked about in our industry much. And it's a huge part of customer acquisition. And so when we talk about building rapport, it's important to remember that we are all human beings. We are all connected together and we all respond the same ways with our emotion. And by making the annual pilgrimage out to the International Roofing Expo, it became evident that people are great these days in 2024 at building a character, right? Building a person that has core values that people can ultimately align with. But where most people struggle, if they do, it's having one-on-one interactions and being able to form a true and authentic connection, right? And so that's one of the things that's difficult. It's hard to even develop because for most people that's not in the home every day, I think being a salesman is a privilege because ultimately you become a better conversationalist. You become better at being able to construct a story and be able to put it in a way that people understand it. And that allows you to connect with people, and in turn, they do business with you. They become loyal followers to you. You're able to help people in a way that most people can't, because human to human interaction is one of those things where it's situational. I only get so many sits in a day, right? But some people don't even get that. There's people who work remotely that don't get that one-on-one interactions. And it's different when you're sitting on a Zoom call, right? That's a whole different thing. So for me, developing myself as a sales guy originally, I never struggled with being authentic. That was always something that was there. When I meet someone, they're automatically my best friend. And so when it comes to breaking the ice, I never have a problem with it because ultimately there's no ice to break. But what I struggled with initially was finding the balance between authenticity and professionalism and being able to be punctual and effective in my storytelling and get my points across about the products that I was selling. And so I had to work on that and develop it to the point where I kind of just found my thing. Everyday interactions are sales opportunities, and we must recognize that because that 15-minute conversation that you had with a colleague where you were telling them a story about something that happened on the weekend left them with a different impression of you, whether you want to recognize it or not. And so we must become better communicators, and we should always seek out becoming better conversationalists because ultimately it makes us more impactful. And when you start focusing on that, you focus on the experiences that you're having with someone. And it can make for memorable experiences that leave people with an undeniable opinion on who you are as a person, an authentic experience that they had with you that was once in a lifetime. We can be who we authentically are. We can have fun, but we must also realize that there's a song and dance going on with each experience that we're having with an individual that will ultimately determine the memory and the impact surrounding that experience. And so for me, whether it's inside of the home or out with my friends, I always strived to be the one responsible for having a great and memorable experience because that has transferred and done very well for me in my personal life. I've done very well on the business side of things because I've always focused on the person, the memories created with that person, and how that's going to affect our relationships going forward. And I know exactly where it came from because when I was younger, we had three great area sales managers with manufacturers as well as the supply houses. And they really are the reason why I started focusing on this because I remember saying to myself, these guys are great people. They know their stuff. They're super professional. But also, when it's time to go out and have fun, they know how to have fun and keep everything under control and on the right path. So that way, everyone gets home safely. Everyone had a good time, and it was a memorable experience. Doing business with those people at that point in time, it changed once those people left, but ultimately, the experiences with them made it to the point where you didn't want to do business with anyone else. And so dealing with those supply reps, those manufacturer reps, that's where the idea initially came from. It made me focus on developing myself as a professional and then being able to couple it with someone that can make memorable experiences and have a good time and keep everything on track. And you may be asking yourself, well, how do I do this if I'm not having interactions with people right now? All I do is stay at home. I don't get out. I don't have fun. And all I do is work, right? That's what we all do in 2024, post pandemic, right? A lot of people got caught in that trap of being isolated during COVID and they struggled to get back to where they were. And what I would suggest, if you're a single adult out there, is to go to the bars, talk to the women. And you might look silly, you might not close the deal, but at the end of the day, you'll learn how to interact with people and be impactful in a short period of time. And that's what you have to do. And I'm not suggesting anyone that's married to go out there and do that, so don't blame me. I have to lay down the law of the land here. But if you are someone who is in a relationship or has a significant other at home, one of the things I would suggest that you would do in your position would be go to networking events that are local in your community. You will find great people there that are looking to connect. The best part about local networking events is you don't have to go there and be shy and be upset that you don't know anyone, because everyone goes there looking to seek out new people that they can do business with. So going to these networking events will not only solidify relationships that could potentially turn into business opportunities for you, but also it's going to help you connect with people. These people know that there are going to be people there that are new, that are not great at communicating, and they will be able to guide those conversations. And it's a great way to get talking to people and feeling confident in yourself as a person. So get involved in networking events is one of the best things that you can do for yourself and developing your ability to communicate with people. So I think that's what we're going to wrap it up on here. I'm trying to keep these shorter because I plan on putting these out on TikTok, right? Hopefully keeping them into 9-minute sessions, doing part 1, part 2, part 3. Give more people opportunities to see this on a different platform. And so if you don't like being on YouTube, you can just scroll on over to TikTok and get this information there. And most importantly, I appreciate you guys being here with me, being on the Market Like a Millennial podcast. If you like this podcast, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And for all my effective communicators out there, if you can help someone out in staying sharp, if you guys do something that you do to practice or prepare or get better at connecting with people, go ahead and drop it in the comments below, because we are trying to help everyone out here become better effective communicators, because ultimately it's going to lead to better success for them. I appreciate you guys tuning in to the Market Like a Millennial podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Itnyre. We'll see you on the next one.